Send me your address because I'm right here. I believe I gotta make a U-turn.
All right. All right. Let me go. You coming to get the beer?
Yeah, so I can put it on.
All right. All right. Let me grab it.
Okay.
All right.
It's the address there. I'm right here by at the shopping center.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Hey, family. This is Steve Copeland. Steve Copeland. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation Show. Hey, family. Hey, family. I had to step away for a moment. I had to step away. I had ordered some mirrors for my truck to change my mirrors, and I ordered all right side mirrors, the passenger mirror. They sent me, I think, 3 boxes. Might have been 4, but they sent me 3. And my daughter got my truck, and I was trying to get the mirrors changed out on them. Somebody broke the mirrors, and I brought all right side. So I'm at to flip that sucker, put it on the other side. But anyway, how's everybody doing? Called myself starting on time. I really didn't feel like coming on, but I'm really trying to get back to being more consistent with my 4 o'clock. Okay. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. A lot of y'all on TikTok, I try to explain to y'all, and I try to put positive stuff out whenever I put little videos out, right? Whether it's gospel or whether it's something funny, great sense of humor. So that's how I try to work. When it comes to me, like promoting the business, promoting and advertising my business and the things that I do around in Baltimore City. And I just want to say this too. Do not, I say it a lot and I'm saying it again. If you find me repeating myself over and over again, this is the way I was taught. When I first came around in Narcotics Anonymous a little over 32 years ago, right? We repeated stuff because you had to hear it. You have to hear it until it's actually sink in. And then you start actually living. Mainly when you focusing on living a new way of life. Because when you live a certain way, right? Say you got this nasty attitude, and you are considered as, which you might not think so, but the world just can't come crushing down on you every day, right? So you live in this miserable mindset, and because you're living a miserable mindset, you don't know how to be happy. You're going to make everybody around you miserable as well. And because of that, you'll tend to think that's a normal thing, to be miserable and thinking that everybody else deserves to be in the place where you're at. But then you'll start wondering why every time you turn around, you're arguing with somebody or you fussing with somebody. Y'all into it because you are miserable. And your goal is to make other people's lives miserable. A lot of people don't know what it is to be happy, joyous, and free. So when I came around a little over 32 years ago, I was told to take the cottons out my ears and put them in my mouth. Which basically, when they said take the cotton out your ears and put it in your mouth, it was to start soaking up new information. Now, once, and it's making me go back to something that was sent to me too about these young kids that was fighting in another city. I think they was fighting on a parent. I caught the tail end of it, of the video, so I didn't understand what was really going on. But the reason why I'm saying that, because our parents can teach us morals, values, and principles, right? The understand right from wrong. The era that I came up in, right? If you disrespect your elders and you disrespect your teachers, you got your butt whooped. Mainly, that's when the village was dead. And I don't want to say the village is gone. It's just that if you have somebody that's working with you and your kids is kind of ruddy, right? And you know you have done everything, you taught them morals, values, and principles, right? That's mama. That's daddy. Sometimes they'll play with it. But then you might have to let somebody outside kind of chastise them. You know what I mean? Not to brutally hurt them or nothing like that. No. Because they know mom and daddy is not really trying to, hurt them. You might beat their little butt or whatever. But they know you still have love for them like that. So they tend to show their butts outside of the house. And that's why a lot of people act like they don't understand why our children tend to act disrespectful when they're out in the streets, when we know we told them everything possible to have manners. So yes, it will make the parents seem like they are bad parents, bad parenting skills. Now, like I said, keep in mind, I'm old school. So the way I was raised up, if you was disrespectful, your neighbors whooped you to get you correct. And then when your mother came home and they ran it down to her, I know mine did, she would end up beating your butt. So you would act accordingly the next time. And you might slip up again 3 months later. But the reason why I'm going there with all of this, right? Because in that statement, I was telling this lady, right? We know that the parents are doing their best with their children at home. But then we're looking at the parents of today. I am not my children's friend. I'm their father. So I only kid and joke and play with them to a distance. I'm not their friends. Now, sometimes I might curse on here, but when I'm around my children, I have to really watch my language. It's a freedom that I had on here that sometimes it all depends on who you with, where you at, who you're around, that you got to act more presentable. You know what I mean? It doesn't change who you are. You are who you are. But it all depends on where you at, where you have to act accordingly. Nowhere in the freaking world, if I got to go to court for any reason, be honest with you, I'm going to put on the tie or the bow tie. I'm going to be dressed. 9 times out of 10, if I walk in the courtroom, I look better than any lawyer up in there. If not looking like one. Well-dressed man. If I go to church, I walk up in there. Well-dressed man. If I go to any community event, now I might dress something like this. You know what I mean? But believe me, it's going to look nice. But if I go to when I say community event, or say like I'm going to any political function, then you know I got to dress accordingly. Because most of them are, well, I'm getting ready to say tuxedo. Most of them, they ain't wearing tuxedos like they used to back in the days. But they will dress up in suit and ties, and some will have on tuxedos, the whole, But in my case, I can throw on an outfit that make your tuxedo look like it was. Because I know who I am. I know how I like to dress. I know how I like to carry it. But in the process, 32 years, January the 26th of 2026 will be 33 years clean and recovery for me. 33 years. And I'm talking about a person that started out from 11 years old and doing the rest of the stuff and didn't get clean until he was 30. OD'd and all this type of stuff. No matter how I did what I did, because my goal was to be one of the biggest smug hustlers back then. By the time I turned 26, it didn't work. I wasn't a bum. I wasn't no bum. I was starting to get more caught up. And I seen my life spiraling out of control. So for a lot of y'all that might not understand, that's why I come back and I share a lot of what I do. So a lot of times when you hear me saying the same things over and over and over and over and over, because that's how they had to do me. That's how they had to do a lot of us that's in recovery. Because the same way it took years for me to become addicted is the same way it's going to take months and years for me to break that cycle, that vicious cycle. That's not something that changed overnight. That's why if you hear me saying the same things over and over and over, because sometimes what it does to anybody that's actually listening to me, it has to sink in. You hear what I say. You hear it. I know you hear me, but it has to sink in your soul. Because basically, once you hear it, you'll start practicing certain things in your own life to make your life better. That's why a lot of people say, every time I turn around, you saying this, you saying that. Yes, it's repetitiously. Mainly when you basically, I'm going to say, preaching a message, or when you delivering a message and you don't know who need to hear whatever you say out your mouth. But it's y'all that wants to tell somebody how they need to deliver a message and you don't even do it. Most of your circuit speakers, when they come to do a platform, they already basically know what they're going to share when they get there. Rather it's business, rather it's LLC related, 501c related, housing, politics, religion, you basically already know. But you want to start, you got your beginning with your story. It's a beginning, it's a middle, and it's basically a recovery end. Because you don't want to leave nobody hanging. So if y'all don't know about stories, it's a beginning. From the beginning, it's a middle, basically to where you at now. So maybe the word end might mean when you pass, but the end is what you have done to improve your life. Because you're no longer stuck in that lifestyle no more. So if a lot of y'all is not used to people having open platforms, you won't understand. So that's why when I come on, y'all will watch me and I go, Steve Copeland from the Couch Conversation. And you might sit over there in your head and say, oh, we already know who you is. Yeah, you know. But somebody that's just coming in might not know. It might be, who's this guy right here? So I have to repeat certain things because I don't know who might be listening or whose attention that I might catch. I don't know. So in that process, before I came on, it took me back basically to my 12-step spiritual journey. I wasn't sure if I was going to come on and maybe start talking about mental health. And I might go in that area too. But I know before I came on, I started looking at my 12-step spiritual journey. I started looking at honesty. This is the way I was taught early on. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Being honest with myself or being truthful with myself. Having faith back in myself. That's open-minded. Having faith back in me. Willingness to trust back in me. I'm talking about these are morals, values, and principles. Truth, faith, and trust. But now when I look at my 12-step journey, I'm looking at the how of the program. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Then it repeats itself. Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Honest, open-mindedness, and willingness. But those are spiritual principles. It's something that you feel in the inside. I had to feel it. In those areas where I was so used to telling lies, right? I had to learn to be honest with me. I had to be open-minded, and mainly when I say being open-minded, to a power greater than myself. Because I thought you could not tell me I wasn't the person. You could not tell me I wasn't a man. You could not tell me. But the third part of it, the willingness, was the trust coming. That was the faith or the willingness to change. That characteristic, that negative side of me. You could not tell me, and I'm telling you, you could not tell me what I was doing back in the days was not wrong. You can see it from not practicing certain behaviors. And even though if we knew it was wrong, we justified it and made it right. That's what a lot of people do today. Before they go and commit crimes, stuff like that, they go in their head, they know what they're about to do is wrong, but they look for ways and means to do it, to get away with it. So they rationalize it. They justify that corrupt behavior. And the goal is to be able to go do it and get away. I had to look at my life. So when it comes to anybody that's practicing any deceitful or criminal behaviors, guess what? I got to look at Steve. Because you just a replica of me as a human being. So I have to look at myself, and I have to look at how we will rationalize, we will justify, we will rationalize the most outrageous nonsense to go out and do something wrong. And then y'all might sit back and say, what's wrong with that person? Why this? Why that? That's because they already thought about it. It's basically planned out. Then you got some that will go and just deliberately do stuff. But when you got somebody who say, like, if a bank or something like that involved, it's calculated. They done thought it through. So that's all you got to do is look at yourself. When you look at yourself, understand you might be a good person. And if you be honest with yourself, you know you have a wonderful, a beautiful, a great personality. And you still, that's who you are. And you still get angry, get jealous, you feel insecure. All of the you know the negative stuff that's come with it too. That's part of the makeup of the human being. Personality. You got a good side, you got a bad side. But what a lot of us do, we tend to allow that good side to show up more than that other side. And a lot of times when people make you think they don't go through nothing, they don't feel nothing, that shit, excuse my language, that scares the heck out of me. I'm like, I'm getting away from them. Because when people act like they don't hurt, they don't, this is just life. And when they act like they don't experience and go through nothing, I'm like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Why I ain't like that? So I had to understand me as a human being, right? I can look, if I recognize that I'm jealous of something, and I'll be like, no, Steve, don't, you know, somebody might have something a little better or doing a little better, you know what I mean? And you might feel a little way about it. It's like, no, once I realize it, because the same way you're being blessed, I'll go and say, okay, my turn next, right? Rather than sitting back, oh, I don't like that person this, no. Some people, most people, a lot of people, they work for the things they want in life. In the process of God making their dreams come true, blessing them. So why am I going to be mad? Because you seem like you live a more wholesome life because you can afford to, and I'm going to turn around, and that word seemed like it might be wrong, but I'm going to turn around and be mad at you because you can afford to live a more glamorous life. You get what you can afford, just like with me. I'm not going nowhere and live beyond my means. I learned that when I was younger coming up. If I made $40,000 a year, and I'm talking about when I was younger, stick within that. I guess say, what is that? Stick within that, right? If I made $40,000 a year, stick within that financial limit. If you turn around and you call yourself living above your means, yes, you're going to struggle. And a lot of us do. The fancy house, the expensive cars, and all that. No, affordable. So now, like I said, when I look back over my life, right, and the way I was taught, the same way when I was trying to hustle, stuff like that, trying to be the kingpin, be honest, my family did. And we did good. Real simple. Okay? We did good. But I seen my life spiraling out of control. Because I was always a responsible young man. That's just the way my mother taught me. But I seen myself, like, it was like my life was going like this. And either I was going to end up actually taking somebody down, unaliving wise, or somebody was going to unalive me. And I remember yelling out, God, in several occasions in my life. I had to do that deep surrendering. God, please help me. See, a lot of y'all might not have to do that. I had to. Because it was like I was at my rock bottom. That's why when it comes to working with other still suffering people, right? That's why when it comes to working with still suffering people, it's a method to helping them turn their lives around. It's not something that happened overnight. That's why we have facilities that they go into for 30 days, because they have to detox. And not just with the smugs, but detoxing can be with any habit. Forming stuff could be sex or smex, could be food, could be gambling, could be lying, could be manipulating. That's an addiction within itself too, because you feel like you got to constantly lie about stuff rather than being honest about stuff. That can be an addictive personality too. So understanding that word addiction, right? What got me over the years, I realized as a person that drank, I drank since I was 13, right? I drank. So as a person that drank, I realized that alcohol wasn't my only addiction. You get me? Food, smacks. I talk about being a cheater. I didn't look. I always heard people talk about back in the days, like certain males was a womanizer, whoremonger, stuff like that, right? And I heard those things. I watched men, married men, had women outside their marriages, but they made sure the house was taken care of. I had to learn over the years, because I practiced a lot of those behaviors. You could not tell me it was wrong, even though I knew. But when trouble hit and I wanted to sedate a feeling, I went that route towards women. I did it some in my recovery process, but the same way with the smugs and drugs over here, right? On my restream, people taught me how to break that habit a day at a time. They would share their stories. They would share their stories over and over and over and over and over till it resonated with me. Then I was able to start sharing my story. I was able to start talking about my mistakes in life. I was able to start talking about how I was able to recover from certain things in my life that was habit forming. Now, it's not to say that I can't have certain things, right? It's just certain things I will abuse. And what I started realizing throughout the years, sometimes I knew certain things would end up ending my life. I knew it would end my life, but I would do it anyway. And I'm talking about being clean. So I had to look inside of Steve. I had to be honest with Steve. Remember what I said? Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Honesty, being true back to Steve. Opening up my mind, I had to start gaining faith back in Steve. I had to start trusting, the willingness to trust back in Steve. But now all of this, in the process of me sharing this, right, I began to grow spiritually. So now I got a relationship with a higher power, which now I can call Jesus Christ, or I can call God, I can call the Creator. Whoever you call him, that's on you. I can tell you who took the desire from me. Because I didn't stop because I hated smugs and drugs or all that, right? I didn't stop because I hated it. I stopped because I seen what it was doing. Destroying me. Well, I was destroying myself. So anytime you see me and you hear me sharing the same things, basically, and you used to hearing it, it's only to encourage you to take that time out and look at you and what's going on with your life. Why you are behaving a certain way. So what that did for me, right? Learning to be honest, open-minded, and having faith. So when I use the three words, right? Truth, faith, and trust. By the time I got to the fourth step, and those are the first three steps, with those morals and values and spiritual principles and confidence and courage that I gained in me, I was able to go inside and look at the trauma I was running from. And I work with my clients the same way. I work with my sponsees the same way. The goal is to help build character back in them. The goal is to help them to believe back in themselves. 9 times out of 10, when people come to me, their self-esteem is real low. They torn apart mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's about building them back up. So I'm not going to judge you for what you have done in your life, who you might have been with in your life, what you might have done with your life, to gain money and all of that. I'm not going to judge you because I understand you was trying to kill a feeling with a feeling. I mean, unalive for TikTok's sake. A feeling with a feeling. But you was hurting you. So now, anybody that come into my life, right, with a guy that has over 32 years, what do I look like knowing that God, and I shared this the other day, turned my life around, but I'm going to be selfish and self-centered and don't help nobody else. But y'all want to talk about pride and ego. Oh, that's his pride. That's his ego. No, it took a lot of work to get here. And it takes a lot of work to stay here. I'm talking about that spiritual journey. Rather, it's based around my religious beliefs, because that's the way that started too. And then it started moving more into the spiritual journey. And right now, if you can't really understand what I'm saying, I'm sharing basically from the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm sharing basically from the way I would if I was in an NA meeting. You see when I talk a little bit about this, then I said 13, 14, 15, between 14 and 15. Didn't get clean until I was 30. So if you can't understand what I'm saying, this is basically how I would share if I'm sitting in an NA meeting, during the meeting. The goal is not to stay stuck in what I used to do. So the goal is to share a little bit so that person can relate to what you're saying. So it doesn't, they might have did it another way, but it's just sharing a little bit about that. Because guess what? You got to get to the root cause of why did you reach out for it, Steve? That's why a lot of y'all miss what I be saying. And I had people like Big Mike and them used to yell out. And when they started yelling out, I realized they wasn't talking directly to me, but Big Mike would rear back. And when he would talk, it was like he was talking to the disease inside of me, basically telling that sucker to go. That's why a lot of y'all don't understand why he always getting loud. Ask anybody in the meetings how I go. I'll start out like this. And people be like, I can't hear you. I said, wait a minute. Then I start rearing up. But y'all want to label people in a negative way for how they might do things. But if I'm sitting in the meeting, I'm going to start off low and I'm gone. If I'm called to come to a community event, I'm going to start off low and then I'm gone. So looking back over my life, I started realizing that my life don't really belong to me anymore. I had to learn to work on me. I had to become selfish and self-centered by focusing on what was best for me. Once I was able to learn about Steve Copeland and become selfish and self-centered, I became selfless. Once I was able to work on me, now I'm able to go back and give it away. So when y'all say his pride and his ego and stuff like that, yes. If you listen and watch the way I go, right? I didn't understand it for a while. I am considered as a spiritual warrior. I'm considered as a spiritual warrior. And sometimes when you warn against the spirit or you at war with the spirit, it's not pretty. Somebody sent me that and said, look this up. And when I looked it up, it described me to a T. Spiritual warrior. My mouth is my biggest weapon for the body of Christ. My mouth is my biggest weapon for the ministry. This is the way I fight, with my mouth rather than doing this. My mouth. So when y'all say, oh, he loud, oh, he this, oh, he that, but he ain't got no pew-pew going after people this time. He ain't got no baseball bat, no car jack, no machete, because I'm telling you, I ain't played. But my mouth is my biggest weapon for the body of Christ. I couldn't understand it. And I'm going to tell you something that helped me understand too. The Book of Eli. When I watched that movie and I watched how he was protecting and fighting for the word of God. And y'all know in that movie, he underlied some people too, right? He underlied people too. But guess what? He was protecting the word. I did not realize he was blind till at the end. Out of all that fighting he was doing and this and that he was protecting the word that was written in Braille. I said, oh my God, when it kicked in at the end of the movie. So when we talk about walking through blind faith, be honest with you, it's not to judge none of y'all. Be real. But y'all understand the statement when it says many are called, but few are chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. A lot of times I'll flip that the back part around. Many are called, but few tend to obey that calling. Because you know that you got a calling on your life. It's something special about you. But what you'll turn around and do, you'll run the opposite way. Then when you get somebody like me that will get close to you, and I recognize that you're running, you know I'm going to say something to you, right? It's not to discourage you or bring you down or nothing like that. It's to help you understand that if you do not become obedient to your calling, you're not going to have no peace in your life because you're running from your calling. A lot of us that go through certain trauma in life, God will allow us to go through certain things to come out of it, to encourage and motivate others, to empower them, to help them to understand I was there too at one point. This is what God, or this what the doctors, or this what the therapists, or this what people did for me to help me overcome that situation. I can be like a lot of y'all. I ain't telling y'all nothing. I'm going to keep it to myself. Whatever I've done in my past belongs to me. And I don't care who you is. If you want to take my past that I'm okay with, because I'm here today, ain't living like it no more. But if you want to take my past and call yourself beat me up with it, I will tell you you's a liar, mother, freaky. That's my stuff. I own that. You ain't had to go through the pain, the suffering, the withdrawal. I went through that, but your mouth would do this. So you know what I learned to do? That's my stuff. That's mine. With the smugs, with the women, with the look, with the cheating in my marriages, I would look, you can't tell me what I am. I already know what I am. I accept the fact. You no good, rotten Steve Copeland. Yeah, and what? That's how I had to talk to myself, y'all. I own my stuff. You better own yours. Stop going around letting that shame and that guilt beat your butt up. Because you stepped outside your marriage. Ladies, gentlemen. Oh, you was married twice and she left you. Nope, she didn't leave me. She didn't leave me. My first marriage, I've been knowing her. She was 15, I was 19. I've been knowing her for about 46 years now. 45. My niece was 18. I was 18 years old when my niece was born. 1980. I've been knowing my first wife. So when y'all want to say something smart, I be trying to, yeah, but I've been knowing her for 45 years now. How old are you? Y'all be thinking you coming with something. Watch your mouth. Tell y'all too, she set me free because I was cheating. Trying to take care of 2 homes. Thought I was smooth with it. She told me, she said, Steve, I know you love me. Listen to my words. For a lot of y'all that like to keep doing this while somebody trying to talk to you. She said, Steve, I know you love me, but I understand you're not in love with me. And she told me I can go. Because I had another house about 3 blocks away. With me and the lady I was dating and her son. So let me tell my story. I don't need you to go, and what did you do? I'm going to tell you if you shut up. Well, what did you do? I'm going to tell you if you shut up. Shut your mouth. What's up, y'all? I'm going to tell you. I ain't got no problem sharing my story. What about you? Well, see what happened. This TikTok, you don't be, no, you don't. Somebody might need to hear that. Somebody might be willing, somebody might be in their head justifying the behavior to go cheat and need to hear when I tell you how that shame and that guilt tore my butt up. Being a spiritual man. Rather than me using God to go through whatever I was going through, I ran off. But not realizing at the time, even though we was together for a long time, I had lost that attraction to her. And I was trying to make it work. But once a person starts stepping outside, 9 times that's his way of beginning to let the relationship go. I did it twice. So I started realizing whenever I step outside, 9 times out of 10, I'm not finding my mate attractive anymore or interesting in that way. So I'll start running the opposite way rather than just rolling out. So a lot of y'all be like, hey, you want to cheat? Just leave. Now, mind you, look how easy that sounds. But I didn't realize when I cheated, be honest, I was in the process of letting go. So like you said, if you're going to cheat, just leave. You might have to start practicing it and then go. It took me years to recognize that, what I did. Sometimes you got to listen. And know what I realized too? Women, and I want to share this. If your man start cheating on you, it ain't got nothing to do with you. It's him. I'm the one that went and started doing what I was doing. Did she deserve it? No. And I'm telling you this, if your man is running off on you, no matter how good you might be doing this, you might be doing that, it's not you. Stop blaming yourself for our mistakes. And I started realizing, if I want to cheat, I'm going to cheat. Ain't a damn thing you can do. If I got in my mind, I'm going to go cheat. I ain't going to tell you. Because the goal is I don't want to get caught. So y'all will turn around, and the only reason why I'm saying stop blaming yourself, because it took that individual to step out. Even if the woman do it on the man. You can be doing everything in the world accordingly. And if that person don't feel right about themselves inside, they might look for certain feelings somewhere else. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, don't blame yourself. And that's one thing I had to tell my second wife when I stepped out. It wasn't because of her. Now, I could have blamed her, yes. Because you was this, you was that. She could do that all day, all night long. It's still no reason to step. I made the decision to step. And when I went to a therapist, he told me, he said, what you did, you felt weak to your feelings and emotions. I was like, I made the decision. I made the decision. The conscious decision. I made it. Look where I'm pointing at. I went in this nice, handsome boy brain. And I said, I'm going to fix you. And I went and I cheated. But guess what? It wasn't her. That was my way of, I look, when I took a real good look at myself, and be honest, no, she did not deserve it. No matter what your mate and you go through, it's about working through it, right? Stepping out will add more to the problem. I knew it was, but I did it anyway. And when the therapist told me, he said, you felt weak to your feelings and emotions. I was like, well, I made the conscious decision. And when I realized what he said, right, he said, you felt weak to your feelings and emotions. I was like, dang, I thought I was doing something right by stepping outside my marriage. Yeah. Blew me away. Because I thought about it. Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then you think about how you're going to do it because you don't want to get caught, right? So it's all in my head. I didn't calculate it. See, y'all never look at that. And I'm not pushing it that way, right? I'm bringing it back. Because whenever I do something wrong, I have to own up to my stuff. Whatever you do wrong to me or whatever, you got to own up to that shit. I had to own up to my stuff. My mistakes. They are mine. The goal is not to continue repeating the same mistakes and expecting different results. I had to ask myself, Steve, why every time you get married, you step outside your marriages? I couldn't ask you that. I had to ask me. Why? Why do you feel the need to go running sexually? In the same way we use this word, right? One is too many and 1,000 is never enough. Once I start with one, I'm talking about sexually. Once I start with one, then I want another one, then another one, then another one. Listen to what I'm saying. And I'm only saying that because when I'm caught up trying to kill a feeling with a feeling or unalive for TikTok's sakes. I love TikTok. We love TikTok, right? Because I use the word K. But to try to drown a feeling with a feeling, I got to look at me. I got to take a self-inventory of me. But in the process of me doing that, I'm talking with God and self. Okay, Steve, 10-step inventory. All right, Steve, what is going on with you? And God will reveal me to me. Because once I do that, I got to get into a quiet state, right? I got to, like, today is 5:25. So from the time I got up this morning on down to now, I have to observe my day. Did I say anything or do anything that might have caused harm to someone or myself? Because now by this time, if my stomach is woozy, that's my conscience. That's God normally trying to tell me something. Okay, so what is going on that I need to see? So I have to sit still. Quiet the mind. Do an inventory of my day. That's why whenever, and I want y'all to understand this, because I know how to do a self-inventory on Steve. This is what the therapists and them do. Because one, I got to go in there and I got to feed them the information for them to know how to work with me. So basically, I'm doing therapy on myself. But now, I got tools, right? Honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Because the willingness comes with change. Truth, faith, and trust. Because once you realize that you are practicing some old behaviors, you're practicing those old, I got to watch words for TikTok. I wanted to say addicted behaviors, right? Habit-forming behaviors. You got to break that cycle. With your thinking, with your attitude, with your mindset, with your character, with your personality, with your stinky thinking, with your stinky disposition, when you take a good look at yourself, well, next time I come on my live, I'm going to try not to yell. Well, you know that's a lie. That's a lie. I might as well don't even open up my mouth. Because I'm telling y'all, when I do NA meetings, I'll start off like this, then I go. Even if I'm in front of a mic, I'll back up off the mic because I know I'm going to get loud. That's why I say a lot of y'all don't know me. When y'all hear me getting loud, I'm tipped. That's like a normal area for me. I'm not going to sit up here and debate you with my personal experience. If I share from a level of personal experience and you want to know how was I able to do such and such and such, just ask. Don't try to come in with no scientific bull crap on it because I already done it. I recovered from it. So it's going to mess you up. Don't come here with this research you done or statistics say this and statistics say that when I'm in a certain place in life and I see it with my own two eyes and I'm telling you I'm speaking on where I'm at from Baltimore City, but you want to add the world on it. Statistically, you don't want to do that with me. I can't speak for New York. I can't speak for Chicago. I can't speak for Illinois. I can't speak for all those other places. But when it comes to Baltimore City and the stuff I do in Baltimore City, I can speak for that. You don't want to debate me. Because what is you going to debate me on? Some research you done? For some years that you haven't experienced stuff your own self and you had to look up? So we don't really know if that's true, facts, or what. But the way we do our research, we want to believe that it's factual. Now, I'm not, because this just popped in my head while I was saying this, right? I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in what I read in the Bible. The goal is not to take an ad from it, but as you begin to grow spiritually, some things just, God reveals more. Adam and Eve, if you believe it, was the first human beings. No. I was looking the word up because the lady kept saying homo sapien, homo something sapien, right? She kept saying it. But now I heard the word coming up, homo sapien, 300 years ago. It was another strand of human beings. And I'm in my head, so I don't keep a lot of information. But as I was reading down, it was talking about Adam and Eve came from a certain genetic of not the Neanderthal, because that was back then too, as time transformed. But it talked about it's 7 cycles of species, humans. And it broke it all down towards Adam and Eve, or Adam. So a lot of us, right, and some of us is real religiously like, right? And like I said, I don't want to take away anything from Bible. And I said I would never do it again because I lost disbelief before. But when I say I'm a Christian, I'm talking more about the personality and the characteristic of a human being, what Christ was like. So I'm looking at this transformation, right? We're talking about 300 years ago. I ain't even getting to the part of 1,000,000. And why today? It was some guys or scientists talking all about that too. Now, mind y'all, coming up, because we had history and in school, some of those things was being taught to us. The transformation. And I'm looking at the Neanderthal, right? Now, mind you, the back of my head, I don't have no lump here. So if I put a hat on because I don't have no lump or something to hold it right, my hat would slip right up. So I'm looking at the shape of the gorilla or the Neanderthal head. And I'm like, Steve, you look just like that. Your head is shaped just like that. But I'm handsomer, right? And I've been realized that. Years ago, I've been realized that my head, to me, right, is shaped like the Neanderthal from the ape coming up, right? And I wish y'all say something smart. But look, I've been realized that's the thing. I don't have this, but why my head shaped like this? Like flat in the back. Y'all see how, and I just thought about this, right? You see how a person have to learn to love themselves for who they are? In spite of, because so many people will criticize you about you. I was born with 6 fingers. I was born with 6 fingers. I'm born with 6 fingers. These was deformed. The medication that my mother was taking back in the days, I just found out what that medication is. Will cause my fingers not to fully develop. And some people, they have been opening back up a case for them to sue because of the medication. So do y'all realize the courage, the confidence, me believing in myself, because I was so used to putting my finger in my pocket. Every time I would get around people, I put my finger right in my pockets. And I've been telling myself like for years, stop, Steve, stop. I was born like this. I didn't believe it until I seen a picture of myself and my fingers like this. And you know what y'all have a tendency of doing? And I know y'all do it to your children. When you verbally, mentally abuse somebody, I know you do that to your own family. And then you wonder why they tend to behave and act the way they do. Because of your mouth. One thing I learned in the process of raising my children, if you're going to turn them down, build them right back up. Don't leave them down. If you disciplining them because of something that they did, right, you got to build them back up. Because one, you want them to feel a little sorrow. But then you got to encourage it and flip it around so they won't be going around feeling worth less and all that type of stuff. I had to learn this. And I'm going to tell y'all, thank God I became a foster care parent. Because when I became a foster care parent, they teaches you basically how to embrace these children, the children. The way they taught me how to embrace. Basically, it was my nieces and nephews because I had to take up classes and stuff like that to become certified or licensed. The way they taught me how to deal with like the children, the same way I started doing with my own, to help me become a better parent. It's a certain way you grab them when they're acting dysfunctional, you know, they're acting out. It's a certain way you grab them so they won't feel like, even though you're trying to calm them down or whatever, they won't feel like you're abusing it. When I was doing foster care and I would have to go to the meetings and stuff from time to time, it was mostly grandmothers there. And believe me, I was the only man. I raised my nieces and nephews, well, my two nieces and nephews, and they used to call me, and sometimes they'd laugh about it. Remember when we used to call you Uncle, Daddy, Steve? And sometimes my nephew will call me Daddy today. But it gets me over here on TikTok, right? That's why I don't know what land some people living in, right? When y'all want to say there are no good men out there. That's your bull crap. And if you could hear yourself, it really sounds so like you just our, and not just the women now, please. I want to correct that because I don't like when the women do that to the men and the men do that to the women. And the only reason why I'm saying that, because I got to look at me. Y'all can say all you want, and you want to put all men in this category. You have not slept with all men. You have not dated all men. So basically, your picker is screwed. So when you go all men, you better look at the ones you allow in your life, the ones that you allow that close to you, that treated you bad, and why you keep doing it. If you learn from this one, then you got a little to take into the next to identify whether that might be the same type of one that you picked before. But you want to flip it. And I'm only telling you me. So I can tell you right now, both of my wives was great women. Beautiful. I'm the one, no matter how we had to work the marriage, I'm the one that did the stupid stuff. I can tell you about Steve Copeland. Talk about your goddamn self. And I teach other men how not to make the same mistakes. And even if they make it, if they out there doing certain things, the goal is to encourage them and motivate them to stop. Because basically what I will do, y'all want to talk about the 304s and the 403s? A hoe is a hoe is a hoe, whether it's a male or female. So I don't look at, now if I know you straight out on the corner type, right? If I know you straight out like that, I'm not, no, I'm not going to come for you like that. I'm not going to ride up knowing that you out here, like that. I spot you for who you is. No, I don't want that. But if I don't know you are like a behind the scene type, right? I probably respect that more. But if I see this is what you actually do, no, I'm not going to touch you. I'm not. I'm just telling you me. But if you kind of quiet with your stuff, real conservative and sociable, and like, you know, basically, I want to say this because I like dating. I don't know what's happening with a lot of y'all. I done heard women on TikTok talk about they don't like flowers, they don't like this. I'm like, what? I will buy my 2-year-old grandbaby flowers, balloons and stuff. And I'm listening to grown women. I don't like flowers. I don't like that. I'm like, what in the world? Make me think they didn't put chips in our head. My second wife, she was 21, I was 35. 36, one of them. I'm 15 years older than her, right? She said she wanted to be buying a house by the time she turned 28. By the time she turned 28, we was buying a house. Two-car family. We had one, had to get another. I had upgraded my truck. And I gave her my truck and I used the other one because that was more safer for her and the kids to ride around in. So I went one Father's Day to take the van and get fixed. And I turned around and brought a car back for her. And I brought a car back, right, and told her Happy Father's Day. Now, I don't know why it's so hard for some women to believe that there are great men out there that's responsible, that's productive, that believe in family and all of that. I don't know why. But what I have to understand, you got to watch where you pick them at. And I'm just, when I say watch them where you pick them, reverse it back to me, right? Because I tried to show my second wife, and the goal was to be a better man in my second marriage than I was in my first marriage. And my first marriage was great. I'm the one that did what I did. I've been knowing her since we was young. That's why I be trying to bust y'all bubble when you want to say little stuff. I've been knowing her for 45 years all together now. We got a 36-year-old daughter, 2 grandkids. Because the first thing y'all go and say, well, what did you do to her? What did you do to her? Just keep in mind, I don't care if you're married or not. Relationships take work. Just keep in mind. And when I'm out of order, both of my wives would get on my tail. So it wasn't all like that. The way y'all want to fix it for yourself. So if you want to hear somebody tell you what's what, listen, shut your mouth and listen. And I know if you don't know me as a man, I know if you don't know me, and you disrespecting me as a woman and I'm not your man, you can't convince me nothing else. I know you turn his egg up. I know you turn him up with your mouth. I know it. No way in the world you can come on TikTok and just bash men and be disrespectful and then say, oh, my husband in the other room. Yeah, you want him to hear that mess too. Come on, I ain't done by far. I'm telling you me. So once you off, look, I see it. How you gonna go in there and you gonna start trouble with him? Nowhere in the world. I don't even know you. But I'm gonna disrespect you and call you all out your names? As a man, I don't know you, but I'm gonna offend you. And then if I open up my mouth, first thing come out your mouth, why you say that to me? What did I say? I already know you're argumentative. I already know it. How in the world? You don't even know this person. And you feel like you want to just bash somebody with your mouth. And you got that right. And I'm talking about both. I'm not just talking about the women. I'm not just talking about the women, because I listen to what the men be over here doing too. And I'm like, wow. Wow. Now, behind closed doors, you don't know. But to hear a lot of it over here, toxic to me. Very, very, very toxic. Very. And it's not just that, right? I'm looking at us and what we might go through in the house. And God forbid if you got kids. And you think your kids don't see what's going on. And you think and hear that do not affect your kids. I'm telling you that as a father. I'm telling you this as a parent. I'm saying this as a grandparent. They watch what we're doing. They hear what we're saying, but they watch what we're doing as well. So when they go out in the streets and they start repeating it, you can't even figure out why, because you ain't looking at yourself. So this is the type of stuff, family, when it comes to me dealing with my clients. When they sign up for the housing program, I have to do my intake. So now I'm in professional mode. I don't want them to feel uncomfortable, number one, because I need them to be fair and honest with me. This is about turning your life around, but you have to participate in your own life. And another thing too, if you come into my housing program or I let you in and you get to that point, you're not going to do the work. You're not going to continue doing the necessary work to grow, to change the quality of your life, because it's not to keep you forever. That's why I normally tell them, give me 3 to 6 months. Because that habit, and this what me and Common Sense was talking about, you got to break that cycle. You got to break that habit. So a lot of y'all that say like stuck in negative behaviors and stuff like that, or for us as black people, and y'all want to fault the white man for how we treat each other. Y'all want to fault the white man when we see our community falling apart rather than us coming together to build back up in the community that's falling apart. We got to come together as a unit. We keep relying on our local politicians and law enforcement enforcers, but we don't want to do the necessary things ourselves to slow it down, to try to help slow it down. It is what it is, what it is. That's the type of attitude we take. So this is what basically my program is designed to help people to change the quality of their lives. Now, in my heart, in my mind, if God can do it for me, he can do it for you. But you have to want it. If God can do it for me, he can do it for you. If you want to call him Yahweh, if he could do it for the ones that follow that belief, then he can do it for the next. If you want to call him Jehovah. But a lot of times what tends to happen with us, right? We want to tell people how to do this. I mean, what to do. What to do. We want to tell people what to do. But we don't share them, or we don't show them the proper steps that it takes to walk up out of it and stay out of it a day at a time. That's where the big mouth bald head dude coming in. It was a process. January the 25th, 1993. I went to an AA meeting first. And they told me to come back and come back clean. But this time when I came back, I went to an NA meeting. And a day at a time. I don't go every day, but I go. January the 26th, a day at a time. God's will. Be 33 years. And if you're the type of person that's still stuck in a certain area, maybe the message is not for you. If you're not willing to do something different with your life, maybe the message is not for you. Don't come at me like you know me and have a problem with me because you don't know me. But then you want to run off at your mouth to me. Like I'm your problem. No, you are your problem, not me. So when you ever come for me, I already know I'm not your problem. You're just looking for somebody to take that bull junk out on. And if I'm hurting inside about something on my end, and you're not the cause of it, I do my best not taking it out on you. But y'all have a tendency over here. You lurk through pages, right? Platforms where you can come on and just blast people. Because you ain't got nothing better to do. No, that goes to show how sick you are as an individual. And I know when I open up my mouth, I'm going to get ready to end my live stream right here, my Restream family. Thanks, Baltimore.